Hey y'all, it is your favorite nerdy girl here, Nerdy Girl Reviews, and we are back. Pose, dun 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 dun, Valentine's Day weekend, President's Day, long weekends. My bouquet is looking like a jungle, but I just want to show off a little bits and pieces of her because I rarely get flowers for myself, and I think it goes nicely with today's recap. I'm going to briefly talk about the new Hulu, I think it's on FX Hulu combo series premiere, limited series premiere of Love Story. I believe it's the John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Love, romance, and unfortunate, tragic end. So this is, let me look up real quick. This is the brainchild, of course, of Ryan Murphy. So we're definitely in the Ryan Murphy sphere, uh, which, you know, it always explains the incredible soundtrack. Like, I gotta say, I do love him for the ear that he has because he always is able to capture every series and that time capsule with these selective songs that he picks and chooses. But again, it's not just him. Connor Hines, Nina Jacobson, Brad Simpson, and Eric Cofton are the executive producers on this show. We are revisiting the 1990s, honey. So they have just released the first 3 episodes, and we're getting like bits and pieces of like what that love affair. I think the first episode is like a quick recap of who they were, like who Carolyn Bessette was outside of her relationship with John F. Kennedy Jr. Side note, here's a little interesting tidbit about me. I may date myself, but we all know, I know I look like I'm 20, but I'm no spring chicken. I remember, their courtship was national news, definitely New York news, if you were a New Yorker. So when their relationship and unfortunate demise happened, I was still in high school. And not for nothing, I remember, let's just say Nerdy Girl could have been a multimillionaire right now, just on the fact I happen to be in Central Park with my sister. I was taking a photography class, and I had this is when you would actually develop film, and I was taking pictures for a class project. So we went to Central Park, and I was perplexed, and I was looking at my sister. I was like, what? There was this couple that was walking opposite direction of us in Central Park, and we were like, who is that? And he looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. And I think maybe because he had been always covered by the news, I said, is he a Fox News reporter? And and my eyes did open wide, like I knew this is a celebrity. But my sister was like, no, that's John F. Kennedy Jr. with some new blonde. That was not, because at the time he was famously dating Daryl Hannah from Splash and Kill Bill, right? The one with the eye patch. So he was still dating her. This was way before TMZ. There was paparazzi, but it wasn't to that level. It wasn't TMZ style. I had a camera. I did not click anything. They just happened to pass us by. I think they must have been on some hiking trip or something. He was very outdoorsy, sportsman kind of person. And they looked like they were coming back from a trip. And at the time, too, I happened to have a pin that said Kennedy. The stars were aligned, and I had no clue. But yes, that's my little, sad I could have been rich story. I'm kidding. But I had a camera. There was no camera people around. There was no paparazzi. Anyway, needless to say, in the series, we get glimpses and glimmers of who they were. not for nothing too, I'm gonna interject some of my own opinions. Like, I know, I don't know, we're gonna get, unfortunately, I feel like with this series, kind of like a Disney-fied version of their relationship. Because even though they will cover like their most public of fights, and I think that's coming in the series, we're gonna get this very like us versus the world kind of treatment. And from what I'm gathering, because other people have had made opinions about this series. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention my cute little sweater that has hearts. But I hate when they do that when it comes to people. Well, I mean, given they're not here anymore, and it's a tragic loss. No one should lose their life, and especially as tragic as they lost theirs. But we also don't know these people, so we can't also put them on a pedestal. And so there are accounts of people who knew them, who have been interviewed. Their stories have been told through different lenses. People that they both dated outside of each other, rumored that she could have been also cheating on him, but he was too before their demise. So it's interesting. But I will say there is a YouTuber, I don't follow her closely, who has a YouTube channel where she's written a book about the tragedies and love affairs of the Kennedys. And I believe her show is called The Nerve on YouTube. I'm not a big follower of her, but sometimes she'll say things that I'll happen to watch. And she's already making her opinions about this series because she wrote a book about their love affair along with the love affairs of the other Kennedy men, famous Kennedy men. That kind of contradicts what we're about to see. And again, I can't say that she's also totally factual because we don't know. So there's that. But interesting points of view. I think there's also another YouTuber who has been reading excerpts, and the book is on, I think, Amazon Audible or something like that. But she's reading it in real time on her channel, Cherie Denise. And very interesting details. I want to say the series is maybe following in suit of who they were. Oh, by the way, the book is called Ask Not, which is a good play on John F. Kennedy Jr.'s father, John F. Kennedy, where he says, ask not what you're, that speech. So, but nonetheless, it's like what the women went and endured and how they were treated because they weren't necessarily an heir. They weren't of the Kennedy blue blood. They were just, extensions. So, a very interesting take. But yeah, they are kind of following suit on who they were. And how Caroline, let's be honest, because she looked a certain way, she was able to scale and ascend into the life that she chose because of the way she looked. Because let's be honest, if any woman that was a woman of color was nowhere near going to be working for Calvin Klein, working with celebrities right out of college, no experience, and then managed to snag America's royalty, because basically the Kennedys were that. They were the American version of royalty, and to this day, sort of. Although I feel like that has crashed and burned, but nonetheless, I feel like Ryan Murphy wants to give this series like The Crown, or The Crown American version of The Crown. So I don't know how really well it's gonna do. But the first 3 episodes have dropped. They're on Hulu if you want to watch. And I'll see if I review other episodes from this series. I don't know how many will be, but I think it'll be like 6 episodes, I think. All right, y'all. Until next time, XOXO. And happy Valentine's Day, even though it's belated. But until next time, XOXO. And leave me a comment down below. Did you watch? Are you watching? XOXO.